Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. Well, today we're going to be talking about, I hate to even say it's about weight loss because it really is about so much more. But think about it. For some people, losing weight can be difficult. To me, losing weight is easy because I've done it many times. But the hard part is keeping it off. There's really no shortage of excuses. There's I don't have time. I have too much going on in my life right now. And so if this does sound familiar, today's episode should be especially inspiring. But I have to warn you, we're not going to be talking about tips on, quick weight loss or how to get that beach body in 3 weeks. It's so much more than that. It's about true transformation, both mentally and physically. Today, my guest is Nancy Leeds Gribble. She is a healthy lifestyle expert. And while her specialty is in fitness, nutrition, and weight loss, the results that her clients experience go far beyond the scale. Nancy helps smart, ambitious women around the globe go from stuck to unstoppable and create a body and life they love living in. For over 10 years, Nancy has been passionate about encouraging women to thrive fearlessly in conquering their goals for a healthy, fit, and joyful life. Nancy Leeds Gribble, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I have to start off by saying one thing that I love about your message is that the end goal isn't about dieting until you get to this arbitrary number on the scale, right? It's really about transforming yourself into a person that has the energy and the confidence to go out and pursue the things that you love. And you and your clients are certainly a testament to the role that fitness and nutrition plays in that the transformation. So what I'd like to do is kick this off by asking you to break down that difference between, diets that may promise, fast but often fleeting results versus focusing on change of lifestyle, which, seems to produce maybe a little slower, but far more sustainable results. So I'll let you take it from there.
All right. That sounds great. Well, first you nailed it on the head when you said you don't have any issue losing weight. It's keeping it off. That is so true with so many people. You can find a diet and anyone can go on a diet and you can do all the extremes and lose the weight. And then there's that moment when the reality of life hits again and you're like, oh, I can't dedicate 3 hours a day to this. And you start eating again or stress eating again. And so my whole purpose is really to help women put to bed the word diet and really create those sustainable changes that are lasting and that fit in with their lifestyle so that they can go out and, like you said, have the energy and the confidence to pursue. I like to say, to make their second half so awesome, their first half is jealous. And it really is about, I think when people ask me, what's the core foundation? And it's really about coming from a place of loving ourselves enough and that we want to be healthy, not looking in the mirror and hating what we see and doing things we don't enjoy to try to be skinny just so we can try to love ourselves, because that doesn't work. And so when we really love ourselves and we go, I love myself enough, this is the one body I have, and I need to be healthy. And the healthier I am, the more I can do for others, which is a typical thing with women. And then you start to find the more you want to do for yourself also. So it starts with a place of love and shifting our mindset.
And, and that's what when you said mindset, because that's what seems to separate what you do from so many of the eat this, don't eat that type of diets or weight loss. And that's why I said at the beginning, I hesitate to call this about weight loss because it really is, nutrition and a healthy lifestyle. What you do is really, it's more of a foundation for creating that better life. And when you talk about, looking yourself in the mirror and liking what you see and it reminds me of the old saying, comparison is the thief of joy. And I know that when it comes to body image, it's hard, to escape comparing yourself to what you see on social media and magazines as this, perceived ideal of healthy or beautiful. That seems to be something that frustrates and probably throws people off track to feeling like they're failing because they're not measuring up to something like that.
Oh my gosh, so often. Yes. I mean, we have to take social media and magazines. One of the things that I talk about with my clients is the environmental factors. And part of that is what we read, what we consume on the internet, what we are looking at on social media. And if we're following people or looking at people and then we go to the mirror and we're like, oh, I'm never going to attain that. I'm never going to have that. You're back at beating yourself up. You're back at not liking who you are. And listen, we all know if we could negative talk ourselves into success, most of us would be there. It doesn't work. Beating ourselves up doesn't work. And so we have to get very real. We have to become aware of, what's great about us, what's our superpower, and just be the best version of me, of the person that they can be, and not comparison. Comparison is the thief of all joy. And it's hard. And in the fitness world, and nutrition world, it's really hard. And, it's do this, don't do that, do this, and you're never going to get there. And in all my programs, we celebrate every win along the way because it matters. I work, like you mentioned, I work with very smart, successful women. They didn't get there because they don't know how to do things. But they've been so busy building careers and building lives and taking care of families that they forgot how to take care of themselves. And then they look in the mirror one day and they're like, what happened? How did I get here? This isn't how I thought it would be. And then they might go to the internet and they see, these women that are fitness competitors or all these things. And they're like, I can never attain that. So I always say too, I work with real women. I get them real results. I didn't start my own personal journey until my late 40s. So it's doable. And that's really what I want to encourage all women is you're not too old. It's not too late. The past is just learning lessons, and we move forward without comparison, and we start where we are.
Well, I think that's a good, place to segue into something. And I want to get into the tactical parts of what you're doing. But I think this is a good opportunity because you brought up about, busy. People are busy. They have a lot going on in their lives. And one of the big excuses that we use, especially in the times we're living in, and I'm certainly guilty, of this is, life just gets in the way. I have bigger issues to deal with right now. People get so overwhelmed with their current situation, they're losing a few pounds, much less transforming their mindset seems kind of out of reach, which to me creates that feeling of being stuck, that I talked about, as we kick this off. But I have to say, after learning about your background, there are probably very few people who could say, oh yeah, you think that's bad, right? So would you mind sharing what led you to your own transformation from that stuck to unstoppable?
Absolutely. It really started for me. I mean, I'm going to go a little bit further back. I definitely grew up as the girl who strived to be skinny. Like, I didn't care about health. Nothing else was important but being skinny. That's just the generation I grew up in. I have very specific memories of the tab girl coming out of the water, and I wanted to be her. And it's all I focused on. And I starved myself. I think one time I went on like a lettuce and ketchup diet. So my whole life, I wanted to be thin. That was the goal. And it wasn't until my mid-40s, and I was married, and and just like you, I could lose weight, no problem, but I always gained it back, either from stress eating or just not knowing how to eat. And I'm vegetarian too. I think that's important to say. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm vegetarian or vegan. I'm vegan now, but you can be very unhealthy in those realms too. And but I never really I have to be honest, I never gave it much thought. I was like, all right, I'll just keep eating less and trying to fit in some workouts. I didn't work out that much, so it was just eat less. And I got married in my late 30s, and in my early 40s, I had my son, and mid 40s, my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. And when he was diagnosed, my whole world flipped. And I started doing all this research on how to save him. Like, that was my goal. Like, how I'm going to cry for a second. I still always do. How I can save him. So I really did an in-depth study on food and nutrition and our health. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize how important whole foods are for us and everything they do for us. And sadly, my husband, he did pass away. And I went into a very kind of dark place. I was also in real estate. I'd been in real estate for 25 years. It was the time of the market crash. So I lost my husband. Of course, I lost my income, and I went bankrupt. And there I was. And I was kind of like, what do I do now? And I had a very young son. He was 4 years old. And I started kind of coming out of my fog. And this part is a little important because I ended up 3 years later, I stayed in a fog for a good 3 years. And I eventually met somebody again. And I thought, oh my gosh, life is kicking off again. And I'm going to really shorten this, but within a year, we did get engaged. And right after we got engaged, he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer and passed away. And health just kind of was in my face. I was like, oh my gosh, we only have this one life, and here are two people I love so much, and they're gone so early and so fast. And that's when I really started deep diving into health and nutrition. But I didn't really care about it for me. I cared about it because I was panicked. I had a son who was very young. I was an older mom, and I decided I got to get healthy for him. And that was the shift. It was the shift right there that it was like, skinny? I don't care about being skinny. I need to be healthy. I need to do everything I can to make sure I'm healthy so I can give my son the absolute best life he can have with a parent. He'd already been through way too much. And what happened is I started first with working out, and I made a commitment to show up in my garage, back out my car every single morning and start working out. And that's where the magic started happening. I tell people it is in my garage that my pain turned into my power. oh my God, I still cry. I can't believe I still cry. I would go in there sometimes and I would just sit on the mat and cry. And then sometimes I'd go in there and I'd just work out. And I started realizing, like, I didn't want to now just be healthy for my son. I wanted to be healthy for me too. I wanted to live again. And what was really important was I realized, and it's up to me. I never had really known that my whole life. And I had gotten married, I was happy. And then in my story, when I met my fiance after James passed away, it was, again, I was looking for something external. And now I was like, it's up to me. And that's when the second shift happened, that I'm going to do everything I can to make my life the best life it can be and live it fully. And I know it starts with our health, because if we are not healthy, if we are not confident in the way we feel and the way we look, it is really hard to then go and pursue these other things. So I find them to be very twofold. And that is how my journey really began. I hope that wasn't too long-winded, but it's a story.
Well, I think no, it wasn't long-winded at all. I think it's probably one of the most important pieces of this conversation for people to listen to, and I would encourage them to listen to it over and over again, because what you just illustrated is that, a lot of people feel that their situation, or they may be in a low place in life and feel that even, if it's nowhere near the magnitude of what you experienced, but they feel that is getting in the way, that, well, I can't think about, something as shallow as, losing weight or looking good, because I have, too much going on in my life. But in reality, it sounds like that it's by focusing on your health and the fitness and nutrition is actually a way to pull yourself out of that low point. It sounds like that's really the key to you pulling yourself out of that low point, which I think a lot of people find, it's not even imaginable to go through what you just shared. So would you say that fitness and nutrition, like I said, that weight loss or a number on a scale isn't the end goal? It's really a tool to allow you to go on and be a better person and live a better life than you could before.
I mean, that is truly how I feel. I really, and the funny thing is, and it's sealed in, because when I left my real estate career and decided to pursue this, it was, oh my gosh, I've got to help women, like, get out there and live life. And what I kept encountering was, oh, I can't do this until I lose the weight. I can't do this because I don't have the energy. And so I had studied so much with nutrition. So I went back and studied like 3 more years of it. But I was like, okay, we have to start here. We have to start with what you can personally take care of and control. And it is your health. And there is something very powerful about when you really start taking care of yourself, how good it feels. And it's not about, this is really important, it's not about a size. Yes, there are healthy sizes and things like that for each body type, but, a giraffe is healthy just as a rhinoceros is healthy. They're built differently. So it's not about the size. It's truly about where you feel good, you're like your best self, and you're feeding your body right. My company is Nourish, Lift, Grow. And it's my initial, but 2, it's nourish. We have to nourish our bodies, our minds, our soul. It's with what we feed it, right? Not just the food, but good thoughts and actions. Lift. I always say strong women lift each other up. And then, let's lift some weights, because I'm a believer, and then grow. When we really start feeling good because we've nourished ourselves and we're doing things and we're lifting ourselves up in other, we then take on a growth mindset and we're like, what else can I do? What else is out there for me? And that can be as simple as, oh my gosh, I have all the energy now. I can go do more things with my kids or my grandkids, or it can be, I'm going to tackle a new career, a new hobby, a new adventure. It's the whole spectrum, but it's just not feeling like, well, this is it until the end of my days, because that's not living.
Well, and I think, what we were talking about, I don't think anybody would debate that those results are what they want. It's about doing the things that you have to do in order to become that person to achieve those results. So I think it's really important to talk about, especially since you said that you're a vegetarian. Did you say vegan? You're vegan?
I'm vegan, yes.
Okay. So I think it's really important now to get into that difference between, the fast and fleeting weight loss versus the slower and sustainable results that that you are able to create. And I think it's important that people understand that you're not in order to do this, you have to stop doing and eating everything you're doing now, and you have to start eating salad, right? Because right. Listening to you, you're very much, it's such a refreshing philosophy and tactic. And I think it's a great trade-off, to have it a little bit slower and sustainable, that you seem to focus more on what you add to your diet and your, schedule rather than what you, take away or what you feel that you can never do again. Can you talk a little bit about that on that philosophy that you use to add things rather than take away things?
Absolutely. It's about abundance, right? We want an abundance life and we want to eat in abundance, but we have to eat the right foods. So it's not, and this is why I work specifically with women over 40. I know the mindset we grew up with, and it was starve yourself, and deprive, and you can't eat this and you can't eat that. I say take it off the table. Like, we can eat anything we want, right? Now, what you choose to eat, well, that's up to you. But we can eat anything we want. And just because I am vegan and plant-based, many of my clients are not, and that's fine. But it really is like the whole thing with sustainable. I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are like, it doesn't sound sexy, Nancy. It's not fast. It's not, it doesn't seem sexy and all these things. And I'm like, no, but when you lose the weight and you keep it off, you really feel sexy and you really feel good. And that's the goal. Like, let's chase that feeling. Let's chase that goal. And so I start with people. I really start with where they are. Everybody's different. I am not cookie cutter. And I start with where everybody's at. And then we figure out together what the changes they can make slowly that are going to work for them, that are going to get results. I do want to make sure people do get results with me. And in a way that is satisfying because they want results, but also that last. And it's by, hey, maybe you don't want to cut out that piece of cake just yet, but can we add in an apple? If I have somebody that they're eating at McDonald's 3 meals a day, I'm not going to suddenly go, okay, here's your new meal plan, have at it. That's not going to work. Like, I have to start where they are, and then we grow. I help them navigate and make the changes, and let's add something in instead of the McDonald's, whatever with fries. Maybe you can then add in, a fruit or something after. And I will say, it would be wrong of me not to really, the behaviors do match the goals. So it's somebody, if they really want to see results, they're going to have to do a little bit more. But if they're like, okay, I'm good with really taking it slow, then we take it really slow. So it's just all about them. People ask me all the time. I have numerous programs, and at the end of the day, I go, the program is you. You are the program. I'm the glue between getting results and you. And so, but you are the program. It's all about my client.
Well, yeah, and I think, you had a really interesting blog post on your site that what you just said reminded me of about mindset. That matters, that I think it had the note, your beliefs shape your actions and your actions shape your results. So yeah. I guess it really comes down to you get out of it what you put into it. But I think a lot of people, like you said, if you just said all of a sudden, okay, here's your meal plan. And if I was to look at it and I saw it was, a bunch of vegetables and healthy stuff, yeah, it's not just, it wouldn't be sustainable to me, but really what I kind of take away is look, if you want that, you want that Oreo, fine, keep your 2:00 Oreos, but like you said, have an apple beforehand. And when I would do something like that, like I would say, look, I don't have to take away anything, but I'm going to start my day with a smoothie with some spinach and greens in it. All right. And then I can have whatever I want. And then all of a sudden it's like, you don't necessarily want some of that other stuff afterwards. And it seems to kind of, almost take care of itself when you start adding this stuff in. Is that kind of the strategy, is by slowly adding these things, it kind of pushes out some of those bad habits that you had before by introducing the good habits?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once we start flooding our bodies with more whole foods, and whether it's slow or fast, once we start doing that, our bodies respond. Our bodies say thank you, and they then give you more energy. And when you have more energy, you feel better. A lot of people, might have some negative bad habits because they're tired and comfort food. And I always say, I like to do macro tracking, which is a whole nother thing. But I do create awareness with my clients by what they eat. And I tell them, I go, our bodies are not seeking calories. Our bodies are seeking nutrients. We have to feed and fuel ourselves and our bodies. And when we do, it just responds. It pays us back. It says, thank you for doing this. And, and that's how to get going. And there's a lot of stuff in between there. And that's where coaching and accountability come in, because one of the things I hear all the time, especially I love to see, with people of my generation, is I already know that. I know what to do. But I'm just not doing it. But when I'm ready, I'm going to do it. The problem that I address is, well, hopefully the ready isn't when the doctor tells you're past the date. And because I've been there, and I'm like, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear it. Be ready today. And I know it's scary, and I know you've tried all the things, and I know it's frustrating, but that's why you hire a coach. That's why you work with somebody who is going to help you navigate through all that and help you figure out how to put you on your own schedule. That is, honestly, it is the biggest hurdle the women I work with have, is the time. And so that is what I'm here for. I'm like, we're going to find that time. So, and
I think that's critical, because especially when you're talking about the age that you're talking about, that it comes a point where I think people accept the fact, and they understand that in the next few years, my lifestyle is going to change. My mobility is going to change. My abilities are going to change. And it can either be by my choice, either I'm going to make that happen, or I'm going to let that happen to me. And when you let that happen, obviously it changes in the wrong way. goes in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But just by, making that decision that, if things are going to change anyway, I might as well have it go in the right direction. I think is important. I think that people see the importance of having a coach that has been there before, especially someone like you that is, willing and able to bring back a map and say, well, here's how it's done. And I think a lot of people may be under the misconceptions that coaching means that what they're going to have to do is complicated. But I'd like to bring up another one of the blog posts that I saw that you had was these must-know secrets of transformation success. And you tell a secret that probably people aren't expecting, and that's that it's just the basics. The not the uncomplicated stuff. You say will get you at least 90% of the results that you're looking for. So can you go into that a little bit? Because I thought that was really fascinating. One, as transparent as you are about that it doesn't have to be complicated, and how uncomplicated it can be to get that 90% of what you're looking for.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's the basics. I think that one I was like, the secret is there is no secret.
Yeah.
It really is. It's the basics. They are a foundation for a reason. It is eat clean, have some purposeful movement in your life, and have good thoughts. Like that is really the basics. But you have to do them consistently and successfully. And that is where I tell people who are like, when they say, oh, I already know that. I know that, Nancy. And I always say, unless you're doing it consistently and successfully, maybe you can take the I know hat off and be open to trying it this way. And it's just really, I also equate it to like the little black dress. People were like, oh, basics, that doesn't work. I need to go in and I need to do all these crazy moves and I need to be gourmet chef. And if they knew me, they would find I pretty much do very similar workouts I've been doing for years. And they're very effective. I just know how to tweak them. And I'm pretty uncreative in the kitchen. And I manage to eat well. And so I go, it's like a little black dress. You have the basic black dress. You can wear it anywhere. It will get you anywhere. It will transcend from maybe the beach to a dinner out. And the way you shift it is you can then mix it up with some accessories. So stick to the basics. You don't have to go crazy with carb cycling and low carb and zigzag approaches to weight loss and cutting out all fruits and eating only bacon. They've got so many things out there. You don't have to do all those things. You don't have to be vegan, that's just a personal, lifestyle, ethical thing for me. But you don't have to do all that. Just clean food, 80 to 90% of the time. Listen, this is life. We want to have pleasurable foods. People want to have their wine and their drinks and move, have purposeful movement, and that will do it. But you got to do it. That's the rub.
Well, yeah. And I think, a lot of people associate that you got to do it with depriving themselves of things they love. But I have to say, and it may be just my own perception or my own, guilty pleasures, but you have a lot of recipes on your site, and I just can't help but notice how many times I see the word chocolate, and that's not something people normally associate with when you're talking about a plant-based coach or someone that's nutrition, but some of those look really, really good. So I just wanted to point out that it's not about eating replacing your candy bars with kale chips, right? There's actually some really good stuff that you can have while you accomplish this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have this is I tell people it's not going to be your last cookie. I swear. I've always used in my programs the mindset of the diet mentality. All right, I'm going to start my diet on Monday, so the weekend you're cleaning out your fridge by putting everything in your mouth, right? Because you're like, I'm never going to eat this again. That is so not true. We're absolutely going to eat it again. If somebody told me I wasn't going to eat chips and salsa, I would cry. Like, I love chips and salsa. I eat them every weekend pretty much. And I eat chocolate, and I eat other things that I really enjoy. I do a lot of vegan baking. I eat it. So, and just because it's vegan, I say again, doesn't mean it's healthy. So, I mean, it's healthy. My version is healthy, but it doesn't mean it's like fat-free or calorie-free. So you can find the balance that works for you so that you can get results and maintain results. And I think that's what everybody needs to hear. You absolutely can. The main thing, though, is what you really need, more than figuring out what you're going to eat today or what you're not, is a true desire to make it happen. Because, and I tell everyone, that's your why. Like, my very beginning why was for my son. I had a very purposeful reason I needed to do this. And then it kind of transcended into so much more. And so it can be anything from, I really want to get out and do more things. I want to have the energy for my kids or grandkids. I want to, whatever it is, it should be a little bit deeper than, I want to look good in a bathing suit, because then when the winter comes, you don't care. you want it to transcend the seasons.
I've often found myself getting a bigger and bigger tan each year. When you stop worrying about that. Well, I think we've established, that this is definitely beyond, the outer shell of just looking good, right? That the way you feel, certainly driven by your nutrition and your movement, and how important that is to just you enjoying life. But I think it's very important that we talk about, without getting into the politics of it, but I think it's important for us to discuss the impact that the COVID pandemic has had on our lifestyles, right? Because there's been so much emphasis on, if you watch the news or anything, there's so much emphasis on masks and social distancing and vaccines, as far as mitigating the effects of the virus, but there hasn't been, remarkably, in my opinion, a whole lot of guidance on how we can protect ourselves through nutrition and lifestyle. And just a disclaimer that they're not medical experts, but have you noticed, or I'm sure you have an opinion on how important that can be for people to mitigate the effects of this virus that's just not being talked about?
Oh, yes. In my fitness and nutrition circles, it was talked about all the time, and it was very apparent that it wasn't addressed really ever. And listen, if you have a healthy gut, if you can take care of your gut with the right foods and probiotics, and you have a good immune system because you're eating well and you're moving, you have a better chance of overcoming or not getting a virus. And I mean, a lot of people I know that are very healthy, they're fine, totally fine. And it was very interesting. It was never addressed. And again, I think the thing is, it's like we were looking at external things, wear a mask. I mean, of course, wash your hands, but hey, stop looking for the outside forces that are going to help you prevent from getting the virus, and do what you can at home. And there's so many things, and it really starts with eating well and taking care of yourself. And, that's built a strong gut, a healthy immunity, is your best prevention.
And I think what you just said that it's in, the history of people, prevention is never sold as well as cures. Right. No. And it seems to me that it's probably illustrates a much bigger problem that's been going on for years, that, it seems like in our world that the answer is oftentimes, there's a pill for that, versus there's a different way of eating for that. And not just in physical ailments, but also, you talk about, mental fog and things like that. And a lot of people may not realize how much their mental state is affected by their nutrition. Can you talk a little bit about that on maybe some of the things that the people that you work with has experienced, not just, on the scale or in the mirror, but mentally and in their life and what they're able to accomplish when they make this shift of lifestyle?
Oh, yeah. Well, I do want to backtrack what you said. One of the things we will talk about often in circles is we don't have really a healthcare system. Everyone says the healthcare system. We have a sick care system. You don't use any of this stuff until you're sick. The healthcare system, a true healthcare system, would encourage you to be out there and maybe have the supplements to help you buy organic foods or more fruits and vegetables, or help you go to holistic wellness people. I mean, there's a place for all doctors, so I'm not saying anything there, but we have a sick care system. We don't have a healthcare system. And it's like, just take a pill, and it's so much more than that. And you don't want to be living on pills, and that's what it is. And you don't have to be. I mean, most people don't have to be. Many pills that they take can be eliminated just by lifestyle changes. So it's always an interesting topic on the healthcare, and what we can do ourselves. But as far as mental clarity, I like this. Well, it kind of goes: a body in motion stays in motion. A brain that is active stays active. And when you are really taking care of yourself and you are eating the proper nutrients and you are moving, you have more clarity. I don't know. I do intermittent fasting, and there's a whole lot of things with that actually are very good for mental clarity and disease prevention and things like that. But just in general, I feel like when you eat whole foods and you take care of yourself, you feel better. And so when you feel better, you do more. And the more you do, the more actively engaged your brain is.
Well, I have to say, we've talked a lot about, how this impacts your life and your ability to, the mental side, the mindset side, how you feel, your energy. But I have to point out that if someone, follows you and looks at you and looks at your client, it's very clear that the weight loss and the physical side is a pretty good side effect of all this, because you look remarkable. A lot of the people I see that you work with look remarkable. So it's not a way of saying, hey, it's more important to feel good than to look good. But when you focus on feeling good, it seems that looking good kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for one of my mottos is chase the goal, chase the feeling. Like, go for both of them, right? There's nothing wrong with it. But if the important part is there are people that they come across and they look very fit, but they are very unhealthy. They are eating poorly. They might be eating within their macronutrients somehow, but they're eating poorly. They're not giving their body nutrients. So I'm twofold. I want you to feel great and look great, right? Like, let's have it both. Why can't we? and we can, and we can, and that's the thing. And it's just not going to be coming in and let me give you, you're going to starve yourself for the next 4 weeks so that you can get down to a size. That's not what I do, but I do get results. I have to be very clear. I do get results.
Well, yeah, and I think that's certainly clear. If anybody follows you and sees the work that you are doing, because you are an advocate and you educate people and you're an advocate for their success. Even, and you're very transparent and honest, and it may be slower, but it is, a sustainable way to do this. And so what does it look like for someone to work with you, right? Can you kind of walk us through that? And I know you have different options, but in general, if someone wanted to get involved with Nancy and what you're doing, what does that process look like? And what does the actual coaching process look like?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I have a variety of ways people can work with me. And as I mentioned earlier, I do meet them where they're at. But for the majority of the things that I do have the accountability and coaching. And I really do find that to be the ingredient that is the missing piece for most people to really get them success. So depending on where they are, the majority of people, we're going to start and we are going to kind of go over how their lifestyle is now, where they want to be. And then I walk them through the steps we're going to do. And almost all my clients, we actually are in communication every single day. Not in a time crunch kind of way. I know they're busy, but we communicate. They stay accountable to me every single day. And depending on what they're doing with me, we'll have a coaching call once a week or once every other week. I do have private client, my personalized private coaching. It might be even twice a week, but it's to keep them moving forward. And that is the gist of the whole thing. I know every nutrition thing out there, the fitness, I all the basics, even the more elite kind of things. I know all that. And most people, the tools, we have to have them. But if they're not implementing, like we were talking earlier, those basics, if they can't get those down consistently, none of his other things matter. So that is really the crux of everything I do, is I get them to keep moving forward. We don't quit. And that's the whole thing. We really, I tell them, this is your final stop. Like, once you work with me, you learn what I can teach you, and we get you implementing, you never, ever diet again. You are officially off the roller coaster. And it's huge because dieting is exhausting. Starting and stopping is exhausting, and not just on your body, but on your mental, capacity. So that's my whole goal, is to keep them moving forward. I don't let them disappear on me either. I tell them in a very nice way, I'll hunt you down.
But to me, that's the most important thing, because you even touched upon it earlier, that people know, it's no secret what people have to do. I've said it before when talking about, weight loss is, the reality, most weight loss books could be 2 pages. Page 1, hey, fatty, do a sit-up. Page 2, stop eating so much, right? People know that would get them, halfway to where they want to go. But there's something with the mindset that just prevents people from doing that. And I think, what you've done is really become laser focused on that impediment that we almost all of us have, is that what gets us, pushes us to do what we know that we need to do. And I think, one, you're able to give people the confidence that maybe they haven't had before, in the fact that they're capable of doing what maybe they thought they were incapable of doing before. And to me, that's just a remarkable thing. And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with, with your background, because like I said, your story is just so, inspirational and motivational, because, people that have a lot less weighing down on them, feel that, I just can't, like you call it, get unstuck. I'm stuck in this place and I just can't seem to get unstuck. But for you to be able to get unstuck from the point in life and your situation that you were in is just incredibly inspirational. So I definitely want to thank you for coming on and sharing that. And like I said, being a true educator and advocate for the people that you help.
Thank you. I will say, I like to say, I did hear this from someone else, so I can't take credit for the acronym, but we help, it's to help women kill the fat, not just on their body, but really the false assumed truths that hold them back, that they're too busy, that they're too old, that they don't have enough time. And that is where I think my story really comes into play, not just on the healthy side, but I made it a point, like I had to learn to make the time. I would get up really early. I was in real estate, and those days, you don't know what your day is going to look like. I had to back my car out of the garage. It was in the day when we had the little DVD players in the cars for our kids. I took that out. I put it on a table tray, put it in my garage, and I had one set of dumbbells. And I'm like, I had no money. I didn't really think I had the time. I certainly wasn't motivated, really. I was very depressed, and I did it. And I take how long it took me, and I'm able to help people crunch time that down, and so that they continually just move forward. And then one day they're like, I got it. And then it's like setting the bird free. It's like, there you go. It's great.
Well, I have to say you made a tremendous difference in a lot of people's lives, and not just the lives of the people you work with, but obviously the people that love them and they love have made a difference in that as well. So I commend you for that. How can people find out more about Nancy Leeds Gribble and how to get involved?
Oh, that'd be great. I have a website. It is my full name, nancyleedsgribble.com. I'm also on Instagram at Nancy Leeds Gribble. And I have a Facebook page, which is Live Your Healthiest, Happiest Life. And I have a free online community, and it's called the Healthy Happy Hangout, the place to be for women over 40 who want to create a body and life they feel fantastic living in. It's totally free. I provide a lot of information and resources in there. And it's a great place to start and where people can get to know me and I can get to know them.
Well, I would certainly encourage anyone to definitely check out your website. We'll have the link there on the show notes along with their the Instagram and Facebook. And I encourage people to take a look and follow. For one thing, I think just your glow and that perpetual smile that you have is infectious. And I think people can't help but just feel like I want to feel how she looks. Right. And I think if they just start there, the motivation will begin. So definitely check out the nancyleedsgribble.com. And I have to say the recipes, especially if you like chocolate, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at the health food that she's talking about.
Yeah.
So
it's good.
Nancy, I definitely, I want to thank you again for coming on and sharing on how people can go from those extremes of feeling stuck to being unstoppable. It's like I said, definitely making a big difference in a lot of people's lives. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing that today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
All right, folks, there you have it. Until next time on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today.